Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Naima. Thank you to Millie earlier, our music ministry. And I also just want to say, as I was sitting here, right, I hope we are able to recognize the beauty that it is to witness each other's light, and especially having Darlene, who is going into middle school, reading the daily word, right? Like, just think about the power of a community that supports an 11 or 12-year-old in being able to speak those words of truth, that the divine life flows through us, and that together we are able to recognize more of God's good in our lives. So anyways, I'm filled with the Spirit. You're going to get a little bit of it from me. If you think I'm a little too much energy sometimes, you're in it today. Because it's something that I really just am very, just very trusting of. And it's something that I want to share with you, and something that I really feel I have been able to live. A lot of times I share with you the things that I'm sort of working with, right? I'm working on. And I have to tell you, when it comes to the conversation around welcoming our unlimited good, I feel like I've got it. You know, I feel like there are moments where I may forget. There are experiences that sometimes come up, but for the most part, I'm able to really step back and to really claim my good and to see the good, right? And I want to share with you a little bit about part of the journey that took me there. And as speaking of the journey, you know, how many of us have become so reliant on GPS, right? Can you believe we used to like drive without GPS back in the day, right? But we've become so reliant with it. And sometimes, Jason actually tells me sometimes he doesn't put it on when he's going home. I'm like, are you kidding me? You don't check with GPS no matter where you go. And I've become really trusting of it. And I want to share with you a little bit more about what that sort of means to me. This is not the first. I'm not the first person to use the GPS analogy as sort of that guiding system that God is for us and in our lives. But I want to share with you from that perspective because it really resonates with me. And if you're like me, yes, we can rely on GPS. And sometimes, don't you just get a little frustrated when, right when you're about to make that really important turn, recalculating. How many of you have been there? You're like, what? I'm trusting it, and they're recalculating, right? Or, you know, sometimes you're like, the GPS tells you to go one way, and you think to yourself, I know a better way to go. And so you go the opposite way, only to realize that the street is blocked. You have to go around. GPS was, you know, the one that knew all along, and you just didn't want to follow it. And there you go, taking even more time. Been there? Yeah. How many of you feel like sometimes you have taken detours into your unlimited good? How many of you feel that there are moments where you are in the recalculation of how to get to your abundance, your prosperity, your ultimate health, your ultimate well-being, right? How many of you feel like you're in the recalculating moment now? I think it's something that a lot of us experience. It's a lot of the human experience, right? Because it is a journey, it is a path, and how blessed are we that we have an inkling of where our destination is. Because we have an inkling that our destination is towards greater good, greater awareness of God, greater experiences of the divine. Now, I have to tell you that I have been recalculated on this journey many, many times. And sometimes I can't even believe that with all the recalculations and all the detours, I've actually gotten to where I am. But I'm here to tell you, and I sometimes used to go into some like a false humility, you know, in the past. And I've started to realize that more than anything, I share from the place of, this is my testimony. You know, where I am in life is good. I am living an abundant life. I am exactly where I need to be. I have those moments of recognizing that God's good is at hand and that I am truly living my abundant life. It wasn't always the case. I thought, you know, merely surviving would be good enough because it was so hard to merely survive. And I've moved into a place of thriving. and I thrive. I want you to know that because I want to not only bear witness to it, but I want to give thanks for it because that is my experience. I've just celebrated, and he's right here, so I'm just going to embarrass him a little bit. Last Wednesday, we celebrated 14 years of wedding bliss. He's put up with this for 16 years in total, actually. We have an 11-year-old son who is sweet and smart, and on Friday we went to this thing, and he was just coming up to us and hugging us and telling us how much he loved us and was grateful that we were there for him. My relationship with my family keeps getting better and better. I live a life of purpose. I live a life of passion. I live a prosperous life. If you follow my social media, and you should, I travel, I do what I like to do. We just went through, or we're going through, what was supposed to be a, month and a half, 2-month renovations, which is now about 4 or 5 months. But Tom and I will sometimes sit in our house and just look around us and say, like, wow, we're so blessed. Could we love this house anymore? And we just feel that. And I hope you just feel how much I love my life, because it is the kind of experience and the kind of feeling that I hope you have. And if you're not having that, I want to share with you ways in which I believe we can grow into that sense of well-being and how positive life can be. Like I said, it's not always been that way. Many of you know some of my stories. Before meeting Tom, my longest intimate relationship was 6 months. I kissed a lot of frogs along the way. Very cute frogs, but frogs nonetheless, right? I know what it's like to not only get an overdraft fee, but be scared that once you get that one overdraft fee, it accumulates, and there's another one, and there's another one, and then you don't feel like there's an end in sight, and you're in bigger debt because that one check that went through a little earlier than you thought. I lived that. I know what it's like to request a credit card and be denied, right? I have experienced that kind of life. I also, many of you know, I've had fallouts with family members in the past, in relationships. I've also, because I wasn't feeling like I was worthy of experiencing good and having that good expressed to me by the beautiful people around me, was home insecure, house insecure for a while. And I would sneak into my friend's realty office at night and sleep on the floor for a couple of days because I just wasn't willing or didn't feel worthy of asking for help, and my life was the way it was. And so I share that to say, maybe you're experiencing some of that stuff. Maybe you have experienced some of that stuff, and there's a way to thrive. And there's a way that if I and we can trust God and that lean on that experience of God, we can move into the abundant life that is at hand. Because I don't want to be the only testimony up here saying I live an abundant life. I want all of us to be able to be testimony. And so here, even with challenges, even with difficulties, I recalculate and I move into the experience and the results of a thriving life. And because of that, it just gets easier and easier to trust where my life is heading. Because since I have been able to lean on that GPS system, I know that that GPS system is leading and guiding me to good. I know that destination, I know what it feels like, and I know that we can all get to that place of trusting it and of living it. So today, I want to share with you my new GPS system, which is the God's Prosperity Supply system. God's Prosperity Supply. Because that GPS, that God's Prosperity Supply, is always at work. It is always guiding us. It is always figuring out the most grace-filled way and shortest way to our good. It, yes, may take occasional detours. Sometimes it even has to deal with our own crashing or our own slowing down. And it tells us how to get there. And it's something that we can rely on. And together, we can really shift our mindset to be able to trust it more. When we talk about welcoming our unlimited good, it's 80% a shift in mentality and 20% action based on that shift in consciousness. A lot of times we do things like we do. We think it's 80% doing and that little bit of prayer and that little bit of meditation to get us through, when in reality, 80, the majority of our work is in consciousness, is in what we're about and what we are trusting about ourselves and the God of our being to then be able to live into the experiences. But first, we got to turn on the GPS, right? Because you know that in your smartphones, the GPS is always sort of working in the background, but you got to open up the app. You got to make sure that you are willing to follow the guidance. You are willing to follow the direction that God is providing. And in John chapter 10, verse 10, there is a verse that really speaks to how God can be our guiding system. And it's really interesting because I've shared the second part of this verse many times, and many people I've usually only heard mentioning the second part. But man, that first part is really powerful too. And it says this: the thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I came, says Jesus, as the Christ, that they may have life and have it abundantly. Think about it. Who is that thief that has come into our lives to steal, to kill, to destroy? Is it disappointment? Is it our own issues of self-worth? Is it those thoughts of lack and limitation? How many of you, looking back, feel like all those thoughts of unworthiness, all those thoughts of being limited, perceived limitations, have stolen dreams from you, have stolen some energy from you, have maybe even killed some dreams or killed even some awareness or openness or desire to dream big? How many of us dream small because we think that's the only thing we can do? Well, I'm here to tell you, we can dream big. We can expand the way that we see life. We can expand the way that we live into our good. And it doesn't have to be the case that we feel like our good is stolen from us when we trust God's prosperity supply. Because it is at hand, and it is the Christ that is within us. It is that power that is within us as the Christ, and that Christ consciousness that we are brings it with it some really powerful tools that we can employ to live a life of abundance. Part of that Christ consciousness is the power of zeal. I have it this morning, right? It's that power of enthusiasm, the power of excitement, and we can have that enthusiasm to create a new reality for ourselves. You know, we can bring enthusiasm into manifesting our dreams. To me, it goes hand in hand with creating a vision for ourselves to have a clear idea of what we're putting into the GPS of where we want to go. But I have to tell you, in the past, I used to think that the vision came first, and then I needed to get excited about it. I believe it's the other way around. Gabby Bernstein, who is a spiritual teacher and author, says, when you get psyched about something and lead from a place of joy, immediately the universe starts to show you the way. You have the power to align with whatever it is you want to see. See, joy and excitement are important parts of manifesting our desires and our dreams. And yes, there are detours that take place, but when we're excited about where we're going, aren't we more willing to move through the detours? And I have to tell you that the reason why I think it's important to have that joy and cultivate that enthusiasm is because that's where I want my visions and my dreams to come from. So many times we start dreaming or envisioning from a place of lack, right? We don't want this, so we want something else. And it is that consciousness or that energy that sort of is the foundation for our dreams. The fear, the lack, the limitations. Again, we can't dream big. But what if we actually cultivate joy and enthusiasm for life so that it is in that experience and in that consciousness, in that space, that then we ask, from the place of joy, what is the highest vision for me? From the place of enthusiasm already, where is my enthusiasm going to lead me to? Because we want to vision and we want to dream from a high vibration. We don't want the density of fear to be the vibration which we manifest and create with. And so how do we lift up our vibrations? How do we lift up into the place of joy and excitement so that then we can move and have a great vision for ourselves? And so joy and enthusiasm first, but then what do we want to do with that? What's the vision? And I want to invite you into a process with me. I don't want you to be caught up in the details, because what I really am asking you to do is to feel into the experience. So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes, take a deep breath, and remember, this is about getting into the feeling. Imagine joy erupting like a geyser within you and from you. Simply imagine joy erupting like a geyser in you. Feel prosperity cascading down like a golden waterfall and health pulsing through you with the vibrancy of 1,000 suns. Just once again, joy erupting through you like a geyser, prosperity cascading down all around you as a waterfall, and health pulsing through you with the vibrancy of 1,000 suns. Open your eyes. Let me hear that. How did that feel? How did that feel to have that sense within you? Say it out loud. Say it for the people in the back. Amazing. What else? Bright, powerful. So that's the feeling that we want to envision from. And that is one of the ways in which we're able to grab a bigger vision for our life. Now, the question then is, are you ready to experience that same feeling more deeply and more expanded and more times in your life? Are you ready for it? Are you ready for it? Claim it. Don't just say it slightly. Claim it in this moment. It's about the joy and enthusiasm by which we claim our good. So now you have the feeling, and that's where the vision is birthed. And we see ourselves aligned in the vibrancy of that and in the vibration of that. There's a manifestation coach named Reagan Hilliard that I've been studying, and she says, the power of visioning lies in seeing beyond your current circumstances and creating a future that excites you. See, for me, this says that it's not about the past. It is about manifesting the future and living into it now. It's not about the past. It's not about what we've lived. It's not about the difficulties or the challenges that we have experienced. It's about recognizing that, but it's also about setting a bigger vision for ourselves in the future and then starting to embody and live it in the present moment. Making sure that we dream big, making sure that our visions are expanded in all areas of our lives. What is our vision for health and our well-being? What is our vision for wealth? Prosperity. Listen, I'm with you. When I talk about wealth, when I talk about prosperity, when I talk about abundance, I also talk about money. I talk about financial freedom and having all the money that I need to experience the kind of things that I want to experience. I talk about relationships. I talk about mindset. What kind of mindset do you want to have as you're navigating life? A mindset of possibility and potential, or a mindset that says you have to play it small, or a mindset that's already looking for the things that are going wrong? How about living a life of purpose? What's your vision for living a life of passion and purpose? What's your vision for your relationship with God and the God of your being? And what is your vision for what you're contributing to life? I think that's something that we sometimes forget. What are you contributing to life? What is the legacy that you want to leave here on earth for all people to experience God, whether you're here or not? And so what are the visions that we have? And once we dream and once we have that vision, well, then we got to do some of the work to clean up the things that have kept us stuck in the past, the things that have gone us in the way, those detours, or that false thinking that, you know what, I know better. I shouldn't lean on the GPS, the God prosperity supply, right? And so how do we navigate that? How many of you have experienced some moments of thriving and some moments of abundance and prosperity, and then you all of a sudden go, oh, there I go again, self-sabotage. Sometimes I believe that self-sabotage is because we haven't done the work to clean the stuff that has gotten us in the trouble in the first place. We want to create new patterns, but we haven't cleaned up the stuff that got us into the old patterns to begin with. And so it's easy to fall back on those. So let's work on cleaning that up. Wayne Dyer says there is one grand lie, that we are limited. The only limits we have are the limits that we believe. See, the power of the Christ that is within us also includes the power of releasing, of letting go that which doesn't serve us. And so we have to do the work of forgiveness. We have to do the work of releasing resentments. Again, for unforgiveness, resentment, that's a very dense energy. It's a very dense vibration. And we want to elevate our vibration to that which we want. We also recognize that when we're not forgiving, when we are stuck in resentments, what are we doing? We're stuck in the past. We're stuck in something that already took place rather than being present to what is at hand and being willing to start looking at what's ahead for us. And so we got to clean that up. We have to do our worthiness work. So many times, one of the reasons are in the survival mode is because we just don't think we're worthy of anything else, right? Like that's why I was sleeping in my friend's realty office, because I didn't think I was worthy of experiencing it in a different way. And so it makes me think, how come I just don't wake up every single morning and I say to myself, I am worthy? I am worthy. Claiming it, knowing it, affirming it, living it, embodying, I am worthy. My question is then also, how come all of us aren't waking up every single morning saying, I am worthy? Will you say that with me today? I am worthy. One more time. I am worthy. How does that feel? And wouldn't that be a great feeling to have early in the morning? Will you do that with me this week? Will you wake up every morning saying, I am worthy? I am worthy. See, you had to practice. You're good. It's done, right? But we have to work on ourselves, and we have to be honest with ourselves. Let's be honest. How much love, how much abundance, how much prosperity are we willing to allow into our lives? How much are we getting in our own way and not leaning on that God prosperity supply, that GPS system that is at hand? And I really believe that we either grow through and past our limitations, or we die by them. I'm going to say that again. We either grow through and past our limitations, or we die by them. And as we heal the blocks that we have, then we align ourselves with the flow, with the way into our highest good. And in that way, we start embodying that which we want to experience. So if you want more love in your life, we got to vibrate at the level of love. So how are we expressing love? How are we being loving out in the world? The moment that we do that, it attracts more love to us, and we get to experience more love. If we want more health in our lives, we must vibrate at the level of health already. So are we having healthy thoughts? Are we having healthy thoughts? Are we having healthy feelings? Are we creating healthy habits? And once we continue to do more and more of that, health is raised, and the vibration attracts it, and we experience more of it. If we want more abundance and generosity in our lives, can we embody more abundance and vibrate at the level of generosity? If you're vibrating at the level of stinginess, that is probably what you're going to be attracting, right? But if we start opening ourselves up and being good stewards, but also raising our vibration to the vibration of generosity, then all of a sudden the universe appreciates that and responds in kind and is attracted to that. Now, I know, for example, that some people have thought, for example, about being generous here with the spiritual community. It's like, oh, Unity on the Bay has all the money that it needs. It's not about that. It's not about that. It's about how are we being generous. And I really invite you to consider, how are you being generous with the places that you're spiritually nourished? Unity on the Bay and otherwise. How are you being generous with the universe so that you can say that you stand strong in the things that you want to attract? So be generous to attract generosity. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but I do want to just mention that the practice that I believe, the one practice that has been the most responsible for shifting my mindset from lack and limitation to abundance, from limitations to seeing potential, is the practice of tithing. And through my own trust in it, it became part of the trust that now our family has, and we give 10% of what we receive back to the places that we're spiritually nourished. Now, I have to tell you, Tom was a skeptic. How many of you in this very room might be skeptics? I'm here to tell you, when he put it into practice, when we were able to start allowing ourselves to trust it, things shifted for our family also. So if God can make a believer out of Tom, God can make a believer out of all of us. And in that way, let me tell you, so we had a really good week, right? Last week, Tom got a raise and a promotion, right? And he turned to me and he said, these are about the practices that we live. And that moves us to a place of gratitude, the place of really recognizing the blessings that are in our lives. And I believe that that's a big part of the process of welcoming our unlimited good. I am grateful for the ways in which God has brought fulfillment in my life. I feel that grace, I experience it. And let me tell you, the practice of gratitude, yes, it's wonderful in the sense of we're starting to see the things that are going right for ourselves. that practice also brings about positivity. Because if you're looking for the things that are going right, you're not looking for the things that are going wrong. If you're looking for the things that are going right, you start to develop that positive mindset of the potential and what can be at hand when we trust that GPS system and that God of our being. And let's be honest. How many of you have that one friend that is always positive, looking at the bright side of things, and you're just really excited about life, right? And some of us have that friend that is in the victimhood a lot and is only talking about what's going wrong, what's at fault, all of this, right? Which one do you like to hang out with more? Let's be honest. Which one do you like to hang out with more? Guess what? The universe does too. And so the more that we have that mindset, the more that we will attract our unlimited good when we raise our vibration, which is what it is. And so today, I just want to leave you with recognizing the ways in which I have experienced a greater sense of abundance in my life and invite you to start to cultivate that more deeply in your life. The first one, again, cultivate joy and enthusiasm for our lives, to really start embodying that feeling, and from that place, then create a clear vision for ourselves about what you want to manifest in your life so you can put it into that GPS system and trust the guidance that you receive. Then we have to transcend our perceived limitations, the blocks that we have within us that doesn't allow us to sometimes follow the guidance, so that then we can embody what we want more of and attract more of it into our lives, so that then we can live in a space of gratitude, in a place of prosperity. Charles Fillmore, who is our co-founder, said this: "I refuse to be anxious about tomorrow or even the next minute. I know that God does provide for the fulfillment of God's divine idea, and I am that divine idea." Say it with me. I am that divine idea. It is time that we open up our GPS, that we clear our mindset, that we align ourselves to the path that is at hand, because it only leads to our highest good, and it is how we welcome our unlimited good. In God, all things are possible. Through God's GPS system, we're not only on our way home into abundance, prosperity, and unlimited good. That is our home, that is our destiny, and that is the place where we all get to reside in and with God. Our unlimited good is at hand. It is up to us to trust it and to do the work to live into it and experience more of God's good here and now. And we will, for we are worthy, and we are the divine idea in the mind of God. Thank you, and namaste.
Thank you so much, Music Ministry. Thank you, Reverend Juan, for this wonderful service today, and Reverend Pam for meditation. So I invite everybody to kind of think about how services impact you and what your takeaways are at every service, and I'll share with you mine. I will never go against Reverend Juan. Sometimes I will add, though. I think maybe GPS is God's protection service. Yep. That's another service coming to you soon. Also, trusting that the divine GPS is at work always and leading us to our highest, most prosperous destination. And creating excitement and zeal every step along the way, especially during those detours, to fully welcome our lives' goodness. And every morning, every day, every moment, saying and remembering, I am worthy. You are worthy. You are worthy. You are worthy. We are worthy. Like Oprah, you're worthy. You're worthy. We all really are, and we need to remember that and remind ourselves that every single day. And I know I will be starting that practice this week. And thank you so much for queuing up our gratitude opportunity during the service. It is tempting to always look for the return on investment with your generosity. And that is worthwhile because we must be good stewards of what has been given to us. But generosity is more about what God is doing in us through giving than it is about knowing exactly how that gift will be used. We are entering that moment right now in our service when we are all challenged once again to believe. Is it more blessed to give than to receive? Will you join me in trusting this promise by giving to the church? We encourage you to go green by texting GIVE, G-I-V-E, to 833-245-5645. That information is on the screen behind me and online for you at home. If you need an envelope here in the room, please just raise your hand and one of our wonderful ushers will come on by to provide that to you. And I will give you a few moments now in sacred silence to give gratitude. We thank you,